If you ever felt confused about mixing colors, if
First
your
of all,
florals sometimes look muddy, or if color theory just feels overwhelming, this video will change that. Today we're going to draw a color wheel together, step by step, and explain exactly what it all means in simple beginner-friendly terms. It's not about memorizing rules, and it's about understanding how color actually works. By the end of this video, you will not only have your own handmade color wheel, which you can reference at any time, you will understand how to use it in your paintings. Let's start by drawing the wheel itself. First, grab watercolor paper, pencil, ruler, eraser, and something circular like the bowl that I'm using, or a plate. Trace a circle lightly in pencil, and then divide that circle into 12 equal sections. The easiest way to do that is draw a vertical line down the center, as I'm doing, and then draw a horizontal line across. Then you divide each quadrant in half, and then divide again until you have 12 sections. Don't stress about perfection. This is a learning tool, not a final artwork. And as you will see, my sections are not equal at all, but it doesn't really matter for the exercise. Then pause here if you need some more time. Now, to further divide those 12 sections, take two other circular shapes to create two inner circles that will allow us to fade out the colors, and I'll explain everything later on of why we're doing this. It doesn't need to be perfect again, so if you want to draw them by hand, that's fine as well. As you can see, mine is not centered, but that doesn't really matter. If you don't want your pencil to show afterwards, lightly erase heavy pencil lines so they won't show through the painting later on. We always start with the 3 primary colors, which are red, yellow, and blue. Place them evenly spaced around the wheel every 4th section. I'm starting with yellow. And these colors are called primary colors because they cannot be made by mixing other colors. They are the foundation of everything else on this wheel. Try to paint each one cleanly and let them dry slightly before moving on. When you move from the outer to the inner circle, drip off the paint, wiggle your brush a bit in the water, and then take off a bit of the paint so you will have a gradient section of yellow. So that should be like half of the loaded color compared to the more saturated version that is the outer ring. And the way moving inside, you will have less and less paint and pigment and more water. And we will continue this with all of the different colors, so the logic stays the same. If it bleeds, no worries at all. As you probably saw in the beginning, mine isn't perfectly clean and lined up, but the colors bleed into each other, which is not a problem at all, at least not within the gradient effect. Once you've painted all of the primary colors, there will be secondary colors and tertiary colors. The secondary colors are basically an equal mix of the 2 primary colors surrounding the secondary color, meaning if we're going from yellow and red, we will create orange because we'll mix equal parts of red and yellow, which result in orange. Same for yellow and blue, which will be green, blue and red, which will be purple. We'll paint those sections later on. We actually start with the tertiary colors, starting from yellow. And the tertiary colors are essentially made of primary colors with a secondary color next to it. So, for example, you have red and orange. That is red orange, or yellow orange. That is yellow and orange. And this is where we will start, because we start from the yellow. You load yellow primarily. It will create a grade later on. So you do 2/3 yellow, 1/3 red, which essentially creates for you a yellow-orange. And then moving forward, you will create orange, which means 50-50. So 50 yellow, 50 red. And then the tertiary color that is closer to red is 2/3 red and only 1/3 yellow. Now that we're filling in the section between our primary color yellow and our primary color red, this will become much clearer in terms of how the composition evolves of the color gradient, and you see how the colors basically move from yellow to red in a very subtle and harmonic, I don't know if that is a word, but basically move in harmony from yellow to red. Also, it's not a problem at all if you don't have exactly 50-50 or exactly 1 to 2. That doesn't really matter. You will also see if you test this out with different blues or different reds, the wheel will always look different because maybe they have different undertones. If you use a cool blue versus a bit warmer blue, the wheel will turn in a completely different color, but the logic is the same. So you don't also need to buy the exact same colors that I'm using. You can use any colors that you have at home. You only need yellow, red, and blue, and any type of that is sufficient. Now, as you can see, we have completed the first section of primary, secondary, and tertiary color between yellow and red. And now we apply the exact same logic, moving between red and blue, meaning next to our primary red color, we will take 2/3 of red with 1/3 of blue. In the next section, we use 50% red, 50% blue. And then next to the blue primary color, we will use 2/3 blue and 1/3 red. And what you can see here is we create this brownish, dark, almost burgundy type of red within that section. And now moving forward, you will have blue and red that will become a purple. And then moving towards a blue purple when we talk about and mixing the blue to 1 ratio with red, which is again one of our tertiary colors, which is blue purple, very deep and very cool, which is a very nice color. While I have to say, normally I really don't like purple. On the color wheel, I think it has a really nice effect. And now we're starting with our last section between the primary colors, blue and yellow. And if we're starting with a secondary color of 2/3 blue and 1/3 yellow, you will have a really nice blue-green. Then our secondary color would be 50% blue, 50% yellow, which is green. And then when we move towards 2/3 yellow, 1/3 blue, we'll have a really nice yellow-green, almost like I would define this as a bright green. Now, obviously, not obviously, but just to explain you, we have been mixing with the primary colors, any of these colors, so you will know what to get if you only have those 3 colors available. But again, the tertiary colors can be mixed with one primary color and the secondary color that you have in between. So if you have one already available, no need to start from scratch, basically. Meaning essentially what you could do if you've mixed it in your palette, because I tend to do this directly in the color, which is a bit type B, but if you would want it to be more type A and you've mixed every color throughout your palette, what you can do is, let's say you have mixed a secondary color now, which is 50% yellow, 50% blue. If then you wanted to continue and you just add in more yellow, you will also get the tertiary color of the yellow-green. To understand color wheel theory, you can always look up also online any information that you would like. If you want to deep dive into something specific, also let me know. Alternatively, you will find plenty of information online. There are different types of wheels, meaning some don't consider the gradients. It's just the 12 sections without going into more detail. But you can really find this anywhere because it's a very common framework used within painting. let's look at complementary colors. Complementary colors sit directly opposite each other on the wheel, meaning green and red, blue and orange, and yellow and purple. When placed next to each other, they create a strong contrast, and when you mix them, they neutralize each other. And this is basically how you avoid muddy colors, by not mixing complementary colors, or intentionally create muted tones when mixing them. Then we have monochromatic colors, and monochromatic means one color in different values. So for example, a light pink, a medium red, and a deep crimson. In watercolor, this happens naturally when if you just add more water to a color, and this creates very elegant and soft floral paintings if you basically stay within one color and just work your way around with water, which essentially is what we've been doing, moving from the outer to the inner of the circle by adding water. Then we have analogous colors, which sit next to each other, and they're always a combination of three. So yellow, yellow-orange, and orange, for example. If you ever want an easy floral palette, choose 3 of the analogous colors because they feel very harmonious and natural, and it basically is instantly cohesive. Now, I've been throwing around the term values without explaining it. So there are 2 concepts, which are saturation and value. Saturation is basically how intense or muted a color is. So you reduce saturation by adding its complementary color, for one, or by adding more water, or mixing in a neutral meaning black or white. The value is how light or dark a color is. In watercolor, that means more water is lighter value and more pigment is a darker value. Then if we're looking to warm versus cool colors, you can draw a light line dividing the wheel in half. The warm colors are, as you can see, reds, oranges, and yellows, and they feel energetic and sunny and bold. And then you have the cool colors, which are the blues and the greens and the purples, which is basically the left side of our color wheel. These are more calm and soft and distant. Obviously, we highly pigmented them, but essentially they're calmer and softer. In florals, considering we're focusing in this beginner series on florals, warm colors come forward and cool colors stay a bit in the background, which obviously helps us with the leaves, etc., and really make the petals of the flowers pop. This is incredibly useful when you want to create depth within your paintings. Now you don't just have a color wheel, you understand how colors relate, how to mix intentionally, how to build harmony, and how to avoid mud. Keep this wheel near your painting space because it's very useful whenever you need to reference. And next week we can apply this directly to floral compositions. If this helps you, let me know in the comments what concept finally clicked for you. And I'll see you in the next lesson.